And you two just start talking. And then I'll just, ask me and we'll get in and I'll let T know we're going in and she'll be jumping in too.
Of
Cool
course.
beans.
You know how it is. You know how we do here. Who we got
Ooh.
coming in? Doo-doo. Soon as her mic is hot, but we don't have to wait for her mic to get hot. I mean, we are
I can
live.
hear you. I can hear you guys. Give me a hot second.
Oh, okay, that's what's
Okay.
up. Don't worry about it. We're about to throw the intro in before we get into it. So let's roll with the intro. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the King and I Life podcast, hosted by myself, Soul Toucher the Poet, and my homie, my brother.
So,
Really?
Sun Solex, sorry, y'all. I had
I
a
don't
moment.
know what's going on today. Maybe it's the weather, but check this out. You can follow us on your preferred podcast platform. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. This is going to be broadcast on Twitter as well as Daily Motion. Other than that, Sun Solex, you got to tell them where to hit us at.
Yes, if y'all would, please contact us at KINGANDEYE369 at gmail.com. Again, that number, that
Boy,
email. I am having a day, ain't I? Oh my
I
goodness.
see.
Sorry. You guys can reach us at kingandi369 at gmail.com. I'm going to get past this, y'all. Y'all just
I don't know what's
hold
wrong
on.
with this man today.
The butterflies are really flying today for some reason. Okay, we good.
Butterflies in the sky.
Good weather.
Yeah, but check this out, ladies
Good
and gentlemen.
weather.
We have our guest back again for a follow up. We're going to be talking about housing inequality to follow up with Summer Crawford and T. Sanders. We might be having another guest to come in and discuss this topic with us, but ladies, how have you been doing?
Busy. T, I see
Busy
you.
and pleasantly blessed.
Yes.
Okay.
T's looking
Yeah, I see.
great.
COVID numbers high here. Y'all know we got the highest in the nation.
Yeah. Unfortunately, people escaped our state and went down to Florida, Georgia, Texas, where it's wide open. It was so tempting. And now look at this. And unfortunately, I've lost 2 family members within a week period to COVID.
Oh, wow.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
So,
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
and they were,
Condolences.
they're very young, I should say. So it's no joke. I'm smiling, but on the inside, very devastated when I say it happened, like one didn't even make it to the hospital.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, the weirdest thing, a friend of mine yesterday had called me, and you know how sometimes you hit with your cheek, you hit the phone and the video come on?
Right.
And I looked at him, I said, "What's wrong with you?" He said, "I don't know. My allergies acting up." I said, "No, bro, go to the hospital." He had COVID-19.
Wow.
He looked so clammy. It looked crazy. He looked darker. I was like, "Oh my God!" But it just made me think, like, people really need to. If you did go party, go quarantine, sit your butt down. But they probably closed the state down because so many people left. Okay.
Probably.
Yes. So sending our love and condolences, to those who are either ill or have lost loved ones during this time.
Right.
And if you have gone out, please quarantine. And then we got the vaccines that are out. I had my first shot, so that it's protect yourself, protect your family. That's what I have to say to that. If you do as you may.
I got my second shot today.
Oh, so if you start falling asleep, let us know.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna get
got the second
narcoleptic
shot,
on
they
y'all.
do say they feel weary and weak.
Yeah.
I'm only tired because I was up late last night. Other than that, I'm feeling great. No side effects as of right now. I don't expect any because I'm generally in good health.
Would you mind sharing which vaccine did you have?
Being that I'm in the Maryland National Guard, they are giving out Moderna.
Okay. And I had Pfizer.
So hey, we can compare and contrast our after effects of this. If I grow a horn out my head, I'll let you know. People been asking me to let me know, let them know if I grow a tail or something like that. But as far as I know, I'm not wagging.
Right.
Ain't wagging.
So I'm waiting on to make sure my allergist look at their panel to make sure I don't have no reactions, because I'm allergic to everything. I should be walking around in a hamster ball because I'm allergic to everything. So so once they tell me about that panel, then I'll get my shot. But I'm just staying away from people until then.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. You got to get it how you get it.
That's it.
Stay healthy and safe the best way that you can. We don't promote vaccine shaming or natural healing shaming. You live your life the way you live your life.
Yes.
But let's jump into it, ladies. Y'all doing all right? Y'all been working hard?
Yes.
Yeah, so I want to play a little. When I find it, let me find it. Okay.
From today?
Yes, from today that you were on your interview today. So I'm gonna play some of that, and we're gonna
before you do, T, explain what today's power session was about with Detroit Action before he plays the clip.
Yes, today's power session was about foreclosure prevention. And basically spreading the word, because there's so many people out here that don't even they're not on the internet, they're not on the devices. So we try to ask people to share the video, so we make sure we record it and it's on our page. But yes, home of foreclosure prevention.
All right, so I'm gonna play a little bit of what I caught when Summer was talking.
Okay. We also ask that you work on on the expansion of property tax assessments from every February to all year round, and incorporate educational resource hubs designed around foreclosure prevention. So, to you, Rep. Ayash, and to Rep. Stephanie Young, will you commit to creating a bill that bans foreclosures through financial institutions that do not provide a minimum of 6 months of programming to deter foreclosures, expand the timeline for property assessments, and create an educational hub in each community to aid the prevention of foreclosures?
So, in your opinion, how did they respond to that overall?
Well, excuse the fluffs, because I was like, it's been a long day, but I got through it.
I understand. Trust me.
And when we do that, we have a certain amount of time, and you want to try to capture and keep their attention. So they both said yes, they're going to work together to do that. And I thought it was phenomenal that they are going to work together in support of or bringing forth bills. That's going to be major for our state. I know that here in Detroit, for example, when I mentioned February, so you heard me say a little piece of that. Basically, here in Detroit, there is a period where you can do a tax appeal through the tax assessor's office. So it's like if you have a home, and depending on what's going on in your community, you can go down and appeal your property taxes, and that only happens in the month of February. And if you do not get down there then, what a lot of Detroit residents don't know is that it just gets shelved on someone's desk. And just imagine 11 months of it being shelved on someone's desk. So with that being said, check this out. I put the assessment in, right? And come to find out, when I received my decision, my home was over assessed by $6,000. Now, saying that meant my property taxes were higher. And so when I received my new tax bill, it had lowered by $600, which is a huge savings if other people would know. And that's the reason why a lot of people are going into foreclosure. A lot of people are not aware about that. And so when you do an appeal in March, that's when they say, okay, the assessor board in the city of Detroit does the review. Well, after that, it's just shelved. And so people are overtaxed, and it can be prevented. And so it's like, yes, can we do something all year round? This is crazy. So yeah, that was my reasoning behind that question.
Okay.
So I felt like, they so the thing about it is that we worked with them too before, and they were too friendly to me. I mean, please understand, we have to agitate them on our needs in the community. So we have to take back what our community need. They're going to say, yeah, you come to our table, this, that, and the other, but we have to come to their table with direct demands from your street, how your street go. Hopefully you got a block club, but if you don't, or association, you need to go ahead and start forming it so everybody know what their needs are. Some people in your street may be renters, land contractors, or even homeowners. And so that means that's 3 different needs we need to make sure we have ready for them to hit them at the table. So today I felt like it was a soft push, but we need to reorganize and get our demands together and give them a hard push and agitate them to do what they need to do, and don't smile in my face and get a check. I mean, I love you. I ain't got no beef with neither one of them. I love them because we worked with them before, but they were too comfortable to me today.
Okay. So my question was going to be, yes, they say that they're going to pass it, but what is the likelihood? Well, they're going to introduce it. What is the likelihood with the political landscape up there that it will that'll actually get passed?
I'm concerned because it's mainly Republican led right now, and our reps run for a re-election every 2 years. And so it's like, once you start hitting the ground running and you finally introduce something, like you spend the first 6 months to a year trying to jump in and get your feet wet and find out what's going on, and all of a sudden you want to bring something to the table, will it actually be heard? Or will you spend most of your time running for re-election? So it's very, very concerning to know that something that could be very beneficial, not only for the city of Detroit, but throughout the state of Michigan. We want to make sure it's done in a timely manner. So I'm pretty sure T can speak a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Yes, definitely the timing matter, because see, right now, I know we talk to state officials, but the vote right now coming in is the mayor and the city council. So we have to build a tree. Your tree start off with seeds, and then roots, and then the trunk, and then branches. When we jump into the state, we're in the trunk of the tree. You know what I'm saying? So we have to make sure we build in things that we as the citizens are the seeds. The roots are the city council and the mayor, and make sure they for our self-interest, because Detroit been going downhill because our mayor has allowed all these billionaires to come in, get a tax break, act like they giving a gift. I mean, the gift was cool, but if you pay your taxes, I mean, we would be in a better place. And then you give a gift, not give a gift and don't pay your taxes. But that's what billionaires do here in Michigan. They don't have to pay taxes, or they have a tax break. So what we have to do, we have to build this tree for real. We have to really dig deep into the community, and we don't have 6 months, because our first election is in August, and then the second one in November. So we got to get it together and get it moving. And then, I mean, Summer knows well, she don't know yet. Well, yes, she has. She's been with me, but I'm doing phone banks every week, for people. And little to be said, I do not do in-person door knock, but I do literature drop to homes and then tell them, please call me. And then a lot of times I have their number due to Yellow Pages, but it's been rough. It's been rough. So we definitely have to make sure we finish with we talk to our seeds, make them roots, and then going up to the trunk and the branches.
Okay.
One more thing else I wanted to tell Summer, we are dealing with a housing crisis, right? But people are so used to what happens in our house stays in the house. I don't know how we're going to get this mentality that we have to tell our stories and make these politicians accountable, for sure, because it doesn't mean nothing to rally if you can't move these policies and laws.
Right. Yeah.
So speaking about that, King, let's talk about, we speak about housing injustice. Let's speak about Blight, and a community that when I say blight, let's talk about blight and the lack of redevelopment in many of the communities in the city of Detroit. So today, I felt in my spirit, I said, let me get up, let me go outside, and I'm about to just go through a couple areas in the city of Detroit. And I hit 3 blocks. And we have blocks. You know, some people, I don't know, some communities may say cul-de-sacs, and but basically what we have here is we have blight. We had one block where there typically it's like maybe 30 homes on a block before it goes intersects into another block. Well, one block, not only did it have like land, but it's only 3 homes in a 2-block radius, and everything else is burned down. And it's been like that for over 5 years. Burned down, dumping grounds, and the homes are wide open. And I just went live. I got out the car and I walked, and I just started calling people out. I mean, I didn't say like politician names, but let them know like this is what's really going on in our community. And so it's while we have redevelopment going on downtown, it's not filtering out into the inner city. And is it misrepresentation? Is it gentrification? Is it by design? But to be in a community that you have lived in for over 22 years, and my block is beautiful. We have a block club, but if you go over, it looks like a bomb in Gilead, about 3 blocks. That's unacceptable. That is trauma. And it's like, there's no redevelopment, but if you go about a mile or 2 up one way, the homes are going for like over 150,000. It's beautiful. You can walk through the neighborhood, sleep at night, lolly dee, lolly da. But you come over here, you may run across a deer, a beaver, a coyote, possibly a body. Not sure, because some of the grass is so high, some of the blight is crazy. And then I ran across a boat dumped today in one of the lots, a full boat.
That is crazy.
Okay, that's what it tires. Someone's getting evicted. It's like, okay, you're evicted, but then somebody backs a dump truck into one of those empty lots, and they're just unloading, like just shove everything off. It's horrible. It looks like a trash bin in the community, and nobody's saying anything. So I just walked through the neighborhood and I just went ahead and put it out there.
That's crazy.
I just want to say a couple more words on that. And what was the saddest thing here in Detroit, Michigan? And this all states should look into this, or cities. In Detroit, Michigan, our mayor, he convinced people vote yes for proposal N. Our proposal N was for schools, blight, and more. He already get $50 million a week to do blight. Summer, you just told us it's blight everywhere. So when the citizens voted because they didn't have the education, and the vote went by, he got more money to do things, which at the end of the day, what he do is he changed it and allocate the money other places. I'm not just saying it's just him, because they make they have to approve what he decided to push through, as well as he have to approve what they put through. So with this proposal, our tax, the people, he kept saying the tax is not going to go up, the tax is not going to go up. The only way your taxes went down if you got a new assessment, because everyone else, their taxes did go up. So it's just a hot mess, and it's a hot mess in all the rural areas. You know what I'm saying? Like, our city used to be a big thriving city, and it wasn't rural, but right now we under 700 million people. So it's like rural, other than the undocumented people, because that's a whole nother story. But yeah. Wow. And that's what's going on, and that's heartfelt. And I'm hoping that in every state, that any kind of policies, laws, bills especially that's on the ballot, you guys have to make sure you're educated on it and understand what you're supposed to vote for. That's the best interest for you and your family, your blocks, and your community.
I agree.
So with that being said, what are the current conditions from the last we spoke? Are there any new programs, any new plans that are being implemented in your area in Detroit City?
So what they're focusing on first, one, they don't allow people to know that if you're on a certain income criteria, that Department of Human and Health Services, they actually help with repairs on homes to people from the city. But a lot of people don't know because they don't read or they don't reach out to stuff. That's one program with DHHS. Also, the COVID Emergency Relief Fund is called CERA here in Michigan. It's a lot of people that, because Michigan was a state where, we have more working people that's on set incomes now, with their set income and their pension, they're missing the mark. Like, they're not getting help, and it's not good at all, because these houses are falling apart. And that's what they want. They want for big corps to come in and buy it up, fix it up, and just charge astronomical prices when most of these people own their homes. And if you wouldn't have never assess the homeowners by $600 million, $600 million. I got to say that a million times, $600 million. And then here come this big tycoon come in. He say, well, I'm gonna donate you guys $500 million. Well, he was a part of the plan that started our blight. He was a part of the people that overassessed people. He was on that, he had a representative on there to make sure this stuff got done in our face, and then took these homes. And now he's saying, let's bail out, let me help you. Well, your bailout is not enough. So again, we need to not only do politicians accountable, we need big corps.
Wow. That's interesting. So from what I saw when Summer was on there talking, the two politicians that were on there, are there any other politicians in Detroit or even in the state that are behind what you guys are trying to do to support you to pretty much deal with this housing situation out there?
Yes. As a matter of fact, Ishmael Terry wants to come on. So give me a second, King. I'm going to send you the information so we can get Ishmael on right now. He's very familiar here in the state of Michigan of what's going on. And so I'm sending it to you now, and he's going to come right on in. Okay.
And we have built relationship with several people that's in office. While Summer getting that together, we have tons of. I'm not gonna say tons. We have a good majority. We don't have any, that's supporting us, but we are basically galvanizing what we're going to do. But you got to have your demands, you got to have your stories, you got to have what people need. You can't just jump in and say, I want this for me in my house. No, it's about you and your community. There's no such thing as I in team, and the community is a team. So again, I keep saying this over and over again because people don't understand your voice count. Your voice means something. And especially when you document it and you're in these meetings and we're able to put it in their face and make them accountable.
So you say there are, that you know of, no Republican politicians who are actually trying to help. Is there a particular reason why? And, of course, this is just a personal opinion, but like,
right.
What are the people feeling why they're not stepping forth to help?
Correct. So talking to our members, because, as Summer know, I check in with my members regardless of it's text, email, whatever. And basically, and I have a roster over 300 people that I'm connected to during the week, and I ask these questions. And basically, you have to understand that right now they're feeling some type of way because we did get ahead on some things, just like, in Georgia, how they signed them bills, through the night, and we didn't know anything about it, what I'm saying? And it suppressed our votes. That's what they're doing. And that's what the Republicans trying to come together and still do their society. But little do they know, if they go ahead and just say, look, this is our expectations, and then Democrats going to tell you, okay, we're going to take this or we're not going to take it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But if we just come to just an agreement or just barely touch what we need and then keep going on with the citizens, things will work, because at the end of the day, us fighting back and forth is not helping any. It's not helping at all.
Not at all.
You putting us in court, you spending money on unnecessary stuff. Didn't we see that with our president? How many times he go to court and he got passed and we spent all that money on that? That could have went to homeless or housing. Y'all knew who y'all put in office and what y'all were going to do. They knew it was a setup. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But when it happened and then now he's out of office, yes, you still got to blame the Trumpism, at least for another year, because it's hard to galvanize the corruption he done. You know what I'm saying? It's so hard to make changes, but in their eyes, we never should be able to dominate. No, they consider Black, brown, low income. We should not. We should just shut up and say what they say, do, and do what they do. If that's the case, all of us gonna be homeless, or all of us gonna be just either living on top of each other because we can't afford nothing. Nothing. Yeah, and they doing all this on purpose.
It's sad stuff like that is happening in 2021. I mean, housing injustice, housing inequality, redlining, and all of this stuff has been going on for far too long. To me, it's just, I just can't wrap my head around how and why this is still going on. It's like, do you care for your fellow citizens, your fellow man, your fellow constituents? Like, where does it go?
I can say that, like you said, do you care? So it's like, if you don't drive through a community, you don't care. I go, here Ishmael's coming on. If you drive through a community, you don't care. And you don't really know what's going on. All you do is believe what you hear and what you see on the news. And so I see Mr. Ishmael Terry has joined us. So I want you, and I would like you please to meet King and Mr. Wait a minute, where'd he go? So you there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here.
It's Soul Touch of the Poet and Sun Solex.
Sun Solex, there we go. All right. So can you I want Ishmael, ask that question one more time, because Ishmael will tell you what's really going on in Lansing, Michigan. And Ishmael, do an introduction of yourself too.
How you doing, sir?
How you doing? Welcome to the King and I Life podcast. I am Soul Touch of the Poet. My co-host is Sun Solex. Did he drop off? Oh no, he dropped off. Oh
okay, no. He'll come back on in a second. Yeah. Oh no, he probably his connection. Excuse me, but I do know that when you speak about, before he can come back in, when you speak about certain areas in Detroit, people don't want to come down and see what's really going on. They only know what they see on the news or what they hear others speak about. And then they formulate an opinion like, oh, yeah, we heard about it. Oh, yeah. They'll say they're from Detroit and it's from the suburbs. And they really don't know and understand what's going on in the city of Detroit, because they won't ride through here unless you say, come, not Metro Detroit, come into Detroit and see what's going on. So if Ishmael's back on, you can talk to him about that a little bit.
So go ahead and introduce yourself for everybody that's out here.
Thank y'all for having me in. My name is Ishmael Terry.
Still having some.
Ishmael, your connection is going in and out.
For 20. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
It's like it's a pause or a delay.
Okay, great.
In your camera.
25 years in public. Oh, I don't know. Everything working on my end.
All right, let's try this.
Okay, so stick with us here. No, T, talk about why Ishmael is connecting.
Yeah, everything is on my end.
Okay, so T, while he's connecting, talk about what you've seen between both parties, or what you've heard through Detroit Action, like your response while Ishmael is getting prepared, going back and forth with representing the city of Detroit in regards to housing and justice.
Yes. Basically, well, I have to tell you that not only do I go through the city, state, I deal with the federal level. And basically, there's no rent control. There's no rent cap nowhere. There's pockets where they have rent, where they can give vouchers for rent, or they can help low income people, but there's no there's no law or anything on the Constitution that's talking about rent control. So one, we want to do rent control, but at the end of the day, most of our Republicans don't want rent control, because that means then they lose out on what they have. It's almost like the timeshare scam. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can do whatever we want to do with your money, and you just give us a blank check. And that's pretty much how I feel, because in 2016, I knew rent was like $425. And I mean, I'm in these soup kitchens. I'm telling people, like, look, you got to tell your family, we got to talk about this, because it takes 13 years to change the Constitution. So when you hear the Republicans and you hear Democrats go back and forth, they feel like Democrats like to give out too many handouts, when in actuality, you have to give somebody a stepping stone just to become powerful in your community. You got to give somebody help just to become a person that they are. Then the Democrats, they talk to Republicans. Republicans always state that, hey, we got it. Y'all need to catch up and get it, but y'all suppressing us and holding us back. And that's my true feeling. That's my feeling. That's what the members say to me. Because one thing about when I talk about housing injustice, it's not just me. It's a whole team of people out here, and there's several people dealing with it, because these older people, they overassess taxes. They can't afford anything. And now we're trying to get help, and my house is falling apart. So what can we give? Terry, are you together? I mean, Ishmael, you together? I don't know. Okay, we'll go a little further. So, I mean, but when we go up there, it's so funny, because like we've been even in when they do votes and stuff, and we hear the arguments on why they vote for or against, what the needs for in housing justice, and it's like, it's bullshit what y'all saying, because it should be a human right to have housing, regardless if you have money or not, because we pay a lot of taxes.
Right, that's true.
I really want Ishmael to talk. I want him to dig deep, because he's the man with the
yeah. If he can get connected or maybe call in.
Yeah, I sent the number for him to call in.
I hope we can get him on. But so we can come back to that. One of the things I also wanted to touch on today is about, we have a march coming up, I think this Saturday, speaking about housing injustice and how police have been involved in the illegal evictions. And so to have about 5 or 6 different groups come together in a collective space to speak about that is going to be phenomenal. And so I'm excited to even watch. I'm like, I'm not speaking, but I get a chance to view, and see what that is like, that, how to say, that vibe,
Right.
It's going to be interesting, because it's going to be a lot of emotion. And when it first started to come out, it's almost like the Me Too movement. That's what's happening. And so, one would say no to police being involved in evictions. And has it stopped? I would say it possibly has slowed down, but as the moratorium, it's like the a lot of the landlords want to take action into their own hands. They want to bypass the law. They don't want to go to court. They're like, the court system's not open. How can I just get them out of my home? And then they were like, they received stimulus checks, they received unemployment, and I'm still not getting paid. And so it's a lot to it. I'm not sure if Ishmael is in. Ishmael, can you hear us? Not yet. He's trying to connect.
No, that's so funny.
You sound a little far away.
Right.
Okay.
Well, with Summer speaking on how people got stimulus checks and got unemployment, but it took so long for unemployment and stimulus checks to kick in, people were in debt already. Like, people was giving me lists like, look, they're only giving me $1,200, and I owe $2,700. Or, I'm behind a whole year in rent because I got laid off day one when COVID happened. You know what I'm saying? So they can say what people could, should, or would have done with their checks. But at the end of the day, the state and the federal are supposed to bail us out, because this is a pandemic. You see what I'm saying? And it needs to be bailed out right, and that's one thing that I love about Summer, that even if talking about bailout or not, Summer gonna check you like, hey, how can we help this person? What we gonna do and when we gonna do it? And that's like on an individual basis, because we don't have money like that to help everyone up and down each street. But there's money in the state and federal level because we pay taxes. It is what it is. And those that pay taxes, if we need to help out the poor, that's what we need to do. That's what taxes are for, instead of these people pocketing it or giving it to their rich counterpartners just to make us more poor. It's just crazy. Like, come on now, spread the love. Let's be real. This is like human nature. It's not just your race, and it's not just Republicans. It's everyone here. It's people that's even atheists and other religions that don't even do these things, but they still are human people. And it should be a human right to have houses, homes.
And y'all brought up the stimulus. I got a personal gripe with the stimulus because one, I don't know why on earth, like even when Trump was in office and they sent out the stimulus, for the amount, I'm looking like, what is that going to do? That's like, if you really want to look at it, for a lot of people, that's just utility bills, and maybe food on the table. So
I'll say this.
Hold on. Ishmael, can you hear us?
I sure can. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties here.
Okay. But we got you on the line now. So I'll let you go ahead and jump in and introduce yourself to everybody that's out here.
Okay. So, one, I want to say thank you guys for inviting me to your meeting. I know tonight for a long time, Tanisha, Sanders, and Summer, they work very hard to get that public opinion work done out here in the city of Detroit. So I give them kudos for the work that they do. And I've been doing this for 25 years in public service. Part of that was in housing, working with the Detroit housing community. It's an organization headed by Miss Holmes, who passed on. So I know all about the housing market here in the city of Detroit. Actually, my organization is partners with the Detroit Land Bank to try to fix some of these problems where they're selling houses to an extraordinary amount of money for a house that's probably worth no more than $2,000 or less.
Wow.
So we're trying to figure out a game plan to be able to do that as an organization, where they're now tailoring housing towards our organization, which is All for One, and then we can actually fix up the property and sell it at a wholesale price, basically keeping people in their homes. I witnessed men and women who are at their dining room table, and people knocking on their doors and saying, "I'm your new landlord." And those are enormous factors as well. And those things happens in historic areas like Russellwood, Norton Park, Cody Rouge, areas that's 30 miles away from the city of Detroit.
Okay.
So I'm here to answer any questions. I've worked everywhere from President Obama office with the My Brother's Keeper initiative to Governor Granholm and others. So I'm here at your disposal. These are two good friends of mine, and once I heard that they were going to do this, I wanted to make sure I was available.
Okay. So say again what your title is.
I am the CEO. I am the Chief Executive Officer for All for One.
Okay.
And as well as Pleasant Heights Economic Development Corporation. I was recently until November 1st to November 19, 2020, I was the Legislative Policy Director for the Michigan House of Representatives.
Wow. So we were asking earlier, we're talking about, the Democrats and the Republicans and them actually working together to help the city and, the people within the community. What do you find is the biggest, let's say, discrepancy that you're facing, or the biggest problem as far as them actually coming together to get things done?
Well, it's always the issue of who is the minority and who's the majority, right? During my time period when I was working with Grant Home and Fred Durhall Jr. and George Cushionberry Jr., who was at the time the chair of appropriation, Mike Bishop, and then at one point was the minority. But when we was the majority as far as Democrats, you know, there was a partisan politic at that time, right? We can move money, we can move policies. We had the top brass, like I said. George was the chair at the time, and we can actually move mountains and not have the Republican Party. At that time was Mike Bishop, who was the chair, who was the leader of the Republican Party, and we were able still to pass budgets. When it become a minority and the majority gets the lead, you start feeling now you have to negotiate. Most people don't understand it. When you go to Lansing, when you are a part of the system, you have to understand that it doesn't start at the floor when you start negotiating. It starts at the committee and it starts at the party. So whoever's the chair of a certain committee that has to pass the policy or pass the bill, then you start to willing and dealing in their committee. So you have to talk to their chair and vice chair in that committee, and then you have to understanding how the policy is going to move and operate. And then you have an LSB, which is the Legislative Service Bureau, who works with you to put the policy together. Because don't let any state legislator or any elected official tell you that they come up with just the idea and then they write the bill. That's just not how it operates. Even in the city nor in the county, it doesn't work that way. We have people that we go to that says, okay, you're going to write this bill, you're going to write this policy. Here's the numbers that matches up to how this policy is going to be proactive and inactive. And then it becomes a blue back. And then once it becomes a blue back, then I, who will be the state legislator, would have to then negotiate with everyone either on the floor or before they get to the floor to sign it. And once they sign it, then the clerk will read it. And after the clerk reads it, then everyone say yay or nay, or they table it, and then we come back again, and then I have to go through the whole same process again with committees, bring men and women like yourselves in, and give a testimony on why this bill works. And then if it passes through the House, then it goes through to the Senate. And then they go through their same channels with their committees, and then it comes back, it's signed by the Senate, then it comes back to the House, it's approved, and then the governor has 72 hours to sign it into law. I just showed you how to pass a policy.
Wow, that is very detailed. Before you came on, I was kind of asking or putting out there that in 2021 it's just mind-boggling that we have housing injustice, housing inequality, certain degrees of redlining and stuff like that. In your personal opinion, why is this still going on? How is it still going on? And why does it seem to people that they're doing nothing about it? Because, a lot of us live comfortably, but, a lot of us are a stone throw away from being, house poor.
Yeah, one check away. We've all said that up in Lansing, and in the city and in the county and legislating. When you have misrepresentation, I'm not going to say piss poor representation, but when you have misrepresentation for at least a decade or less, it is a trickle down effect. So when you don't have people who will barricade your community, then you allow developers from every which way loose to come in and purchase. Well, I'll give you this. In 2004 up to 2008, we were allowing almost 72% of the population housing to be purchased and then cherry picked through to say, okay, this house I can fix quicker than I can fix that house or that house. So I'm gonna buy all three.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna fix that one. Now this wasn't just private; it was public and also banks and mortgage companies that were doing the same thing in that time era.
Mm-hmm.
So by 2011, by 2010, 2011, we stopped that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we were saying you can't cherry pick now. If you're going to buy a bundle of homes, you have 160 days or so to fix all of these properties up. Well, what will happen is that those companies then will sue the city, and then they will win. So then the city will just start backing off, forcing them to fix these properties. Now leaving them there to become eyesores of what you're living in now. But what I'm saying to all of you now is that individuals like myself are coming back. Okay.
Right.
So with individuals like myself coming back, we can put a barrier up on that.
Mm-hmm.
We will not allow someone to give you $500 million and tell you I'm only going to fix it or put a toolkit on it, and then everything else is still the same.
Right.
So that's what I mean about misrepresentation. It's good to hear punchlines. It's good to hear what I can do, what I can't do, all of that. That's great. I've heard that for so many years, 2 decades and a half. I've heard of everyone's promises, right? But in 2016, my friend, we carried that over to Dexter and Linwood and Livernois and Joy Road and Russellwood and Narm Park. That's why you hear so much about it. When we created Pleasant Heights over there, we got a coffee house put over there. Right. We showed that e-commerce can actually grow in a neighborhood like Dexter and Linwood. But there's always challenges in there. Like Miss Sanders and like Miss Summers, if you have representation that don't see the same vision as you do or hear the same message as you give, then you're in an amazing fight. But I always tell people, what made us successful in doing that over there by putting $100,000 of Wayne County money over there and doing all of those features over, tearing down commercial properties and residential properties, might away in historic districts, tore down houses that you can't even tear down houses in a historic district.
Oh, wow.
But what I've installed in people's mindset that they are investors.
Right.
They're not nomads. They're not people who are going to stay once in a year and then leave. You are an investor. So your investment is these things around you. And you don't tear up things that you own. Right. You tear up things that you don't own. So we worked that in over there and it was successful. So now we're going to transplant that or send a blueprint over here in this community where Summer lives, where Cody Rouge is, where Tyerman is, where West Warren, the whole stretch, Joy Road. And we've been over in these areas doing this. I actually started doing community projects here in this community in 2004.
Okay.
Going through the O'Shea Recreation Building at the time. So I know it can be done. And like Sanders said, once people's mentality is down, it's easy to do that to you. It's easy to get you to convince that as long as it ain't bothering me, I'm not bothering it. So now you get $1 million, $1 billion developers coming in who don't even look like you, who will work with somebody who is trying to be like them, and then kick you in the door and say, okay, well, I don't have to work with all of you. See, this is your other problem. I don't have to work with all of you. I just got to pick 5 of them that feel the same way I do. And then we'll start building from there. So then when the other people in the community say, well, why you didn't talk to me? Well, I did. I talked to them because they're thinking like me.
Okay, so we have that's Tristan Taylor in here from Detroit Will Breathe.
Yeah, he's coming in. We're gonna speak. Ishmael, we're gonna transition a little bit. We're gonna speak about police involvement in housing injustice. So Tristan is coming in, and you can stay on and comment as well. So Tristan, can you hear us? All right, no, we can't hear you. Are you on mute?
I think we were having the same issue.
He's driving too. He did the link. Let me see. All right.
Yeah,
So
that's some heavy stuff that's going on up there. And it's just amazing, not in a good way amazing, but amazing that, stuff like this is being allowed to happen. Son Solex, did you have something to throw in there?
I was just gonna say, I know that you guys are working diligently with the programs and organizations that you're involved with. But can you tell us, have any new organizations come forth? I know that it's kind of like you say, once there's smoke, there's fire. But we're gonna say in a positive way, have any new organizations come forth? Can you hear me?
Are you talking to me?
Any one of y'all that
Yeah.
can speak to that?
I'm sorry.
say one more. Yeah.
I was just asking, have any new organizations come forth, that are actually helping the people and helping the city?
I haven't.
Yeah,
Okay, Ishmael or T can speak to that too.
yeah. I mean, I talked to Food Lab, other organizations. Like we saw that it was a food desert in this in the city in 2004. So we worked with Michigan State Agriculture to build agriculture in the city, right before they was even doing this. And it's now you see Food Lab, you see all of these agricultural groups now that's coming out, and it's great to see them do just that. Coming in and helping, teaching people how to come in and build food. Can y'all hear me on your thing?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna try to turn this down. Okay. So we're starting to see smaller groups. Starting to see smaller groups now taking
into these.
Ishmael, we're getting double feedback from the computer and from your phone.
What you already have.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can turn the volume down on your laptop and speak through your phone, and that'll probably help. But while he's doing that, T, did you hear the question? He's speaking about, has there been any other organizations that have, tried to be a part of change and what's going on in the city of Detroit in regards to housing and justice? I haven't really seen a lot of movement, but I will say this really quick. So today, when I was on Detroit Action, and King played a clip earlier, I think it's amazing that House District, Michigan House District, State Representative Stephanie Young, I had immediately sent her the street names where the Blight was. And I'm very, very happy that she has already gone down each one of those blocks. And she's appalled. And she sent me pictures and she said, basically, this is what I'm thinking. And this is when she's saying bringing all stakeholders to the table. And she's mentioning speaking to the Department of Neighborhoods and the advanced disposal, which is who can come, like the trash company, different water department companies. She's speaking about stakeholders who may be in the Brightmoor community and throughout the city of Detroit, as well as on the city level, the leaderships. I think is very, very important, and I think it's great that she immediately jumped on it, and she was like stating that it should be a monthly meeting around this to have a chart to track the progress and identify sectors of where to focus on for throughout the city of Detroit, because it's happening in various areas, and it's like as communities are starting to flourish, people are from the suburbs, like they may have to pay to dump, pay to like throw out their trash and things of that sort. So at night, um, they kind of choose communities that have low housing or low, residency, and they
Right.
back trucks in and they just unload their trash and dump. And a lot of times, some of them forget to remove their identity. And so when the police come out or when the inspectors come out, they can easily track back to say, oh, what, St. Clair Shores? Oh, it's one of the suburbs, or Redford, Michigan, or Southfield, Michigan. They can clearly see that other companies and other businesses and other people are coming from outside the city of Detroit and doing the dumping. It's not Detroiters, because we're blessed to have trash day, bulk day every 2 weeks, to kind of clean up. And when it's collectively bringing everybody together and stakeholders, when you ask, are there any other organizations getting involved? Maybe on a city and state level. The state level, it'll be interesting to see how Rep Young will bring a certain bill or may try to introduce a bill centered around redevelopment, but it has to basically have to clean up the community first. So Ishmael, you want to speak about that, or T, you want to speak to that a little bit?
I mean, Ishmael can follow up, but I mean, basically, dealing with blight. Let's talk about blight. Some areas and communities are still getting bulk pickup, but little do we know, a lot of neighborhoods are not getting bulk pickup because it's not really rescheduled to start back up till August. I can't. It baffled me. Okay, it baffled me. So I don't understand. But what we want to talk about is in the bit bulk pickup, the blight, the everything. It's rough for Detroiters also now. When they go to these places, if you have anything that look like you're remodeling or anything like that, they want you to go down to a whole nother dump and get on the scale and pay for it. So true and all is people from other areas, counties, things like that, but they also making it bad for us Detroiters, because when did this start that we have to take it over the line, things like that? And if it did, why wasn't anything sent to these houses to tell people this? Because if I just fix my kitchen up, I don't want to go over the line. I just want to dump my stuff in the garbage can, you know what I'm saying, or put it outside for bulk pickup. But bulk pickup don't pick it up, and also people are paying. So it's just all types of issues, but we have to come together again as a community and make demands on everything that's dealing with our tax dollars. Go ahead, Ishmael.
I knew you was gonna get me, Sandra. So when creating advanced disposal in Rizzo, the contract was to stipulate that men and women residents in the city of Detroit were not to be dumping, as Sandra said, housing material. So plastering, drywall, sinks, toilets, things of that nature. And that advanced disposals contract and Rizzo's contract, which we now know that Rizzo is no longer, but advanced disposal is still continuing. They were supposed to pick up only residential trash. So when the blight kept becoming an issue, abandoned houses becoming an issue, residents too. Let's not just say people from Canada, because we know even people from Canada was dumping here in Michigan, in Detroit. But residents who would live across the street will walk that trash over to the abandoned house and place it there, right? But in the contract, it stipulates that advanced disposal has the discretion, and Rizzo had the discretion to pick up that trash, that bulk, from that abandoned house. Because the the contract was to stipulate that they pick up only in front of residential houses that people are living in. So people were taking advantage of that, or they will say, well, you know what? I missed my bulk pickup. If it's on the 28th, I missed it. So I'm going to put it across the street. And if I missed it coming this way, coming towards my house, when they come back, they'll pick it up this way. Well, that house could be abandoned. So now you just did an illegal dump. So yes, Sanders correct. The dump is for materials like that, raw materials like that. You're supposed to go to the east side, and there's a fill hole that you dump by the measurement. I think it's like $50 or $30 for each material.
Now,
And so
I'm sorry, Ishmael. I don't know if you can hear me, Ishmael. Not to cut you off. I'm interested because when we speak about blight, King and Sun Soul, what does it look like in your cities? And I know King spoke about this last time. You know, like if you have trash to throw out, you know, in your communities. I mean, we have people dumping like entire houses, like whatever's in there. What is the process, you know, in your communities?
So Lex, you want to go first on that one?
Sure. In my community, we have a particular day where you can set anything.
Where you from?
I live in Tallahassee, Florida. But we have a certain day that we're allowed to set any household materials out, whether it be a stove or a refrigerator or drywall, whatever the case may be. We just set it out on the side, the curb in front of our houses. So I think that day is I want to say Thursday. I could be wrong, but for the most part, I haven't seen any situations where, you know, it doesn't take place. It's like, I guess because of the area that we stay in, that might have something to do with it. But for the most part, they're pretty consistent with picking up any household materials that need to be disposed of.
So for me, it's totally different. I live probably like 30 miles north of Baltimore City. I have to pay for my trash, period. Whereas other counties in Baltimore City, they have trash pickup by the county. But I pay for trash. As far as bulk materials and household stuff like that, I have two options. I can either call the trash company and schedule for them to pick up those materials, or I can pile my stuff in my Armada, which I've done plenty of times, or I can buy me a trailer and take it to the landfill and dump it by weight. So, I mean, I can't just throw drywall outside or a washer or dryer or an large appliance out there that I, don't want. And, they come by on a certain day and come get it. It's even, so if they open my trash can and there's too many cardboard boxes in there, they're not going to take the trash because this considered recyclable stuff. And I'm not I'm not separating anything. So, if that happens, I'll break my boxes down a little bit more and throw some trash bags on it. And then the next trash day, have at it. So that's how it is out here.
I mean, they charge it for our service or the services that they provide. We have regular trash, and then we have recyclables. Mm-hmm. But there's never been a time where they said, "Okay, we're not taking your trash because you got so and so and so and so in it." But one thing I will say is they don't like it if you can't close the lid or at least attempt to close the lid. Then you might run into some issues there. But again, for the most part, I can say we haven't had any true issues like that.
Have you probably within 30 minutes of your homes? Mm-hmm. Have you noticed, and I know you've been hearing a lot about Detroit and the blight situation, and we want better. And we're speaking of particular neighborhoods where it's very scattered. Some neighborhoods are very beautiful. It looks like it's the suburbs, and you go a few blocks over, and it's like, who did it, what for, and why, and what the hell? Do you have communities around where you live? Because I'm pretty sure there's heavy fines. There's a lot of home associations. Do you have situations like that in your communities?
Not where I can't say that I've seen that where I'm at. For the most part, the county that I live in, it's not too much rundown housing or neighborhoods like that. Although there are certain neighborhoods not too far from me that I look at and I be like, y'all can't upgrade y'all houses or whatever the case may be. But and a lot of those have homeowners associations. But where I'm at, I don't have a homeowner association, thankfully, because I just wouldn't be feeling that. But in Baltimore City, I know there's a lot of houses and neighborhoods that just look run down. I know y'all was talking about the abandoned houses and stuff. There's a lot of those in Baltimore, and for a time, several years ago, they were selling those houses cheap in hopes that people would buy the houses, fix them up, and either live in them or sell them or whatever the case may be. But I don't know if they're doing that again or whatever the case may be. I think they should, because it would bring back to the neighborhoods and stuff like that. But to what y'all were talking about, when people dumping their trash at abandoned houses outside, it just sounds to me like outside of the already the issues that y'all have and been having for so long, it just sounds like people just don't care. Like, is that part of the problem as well? People don't care. So if they show they don't care, the government is not going to put too much interest in rebuilding these communities.
And that's what I was saying.
Yeah, go ahead, Ishmael, because I was going to say, if I can get away with it, one would possibly, they're getting away with it. But go ahead, Ishmael.
And I'm gonna piggyback on that. That's what I was saying earlier. See, when you have 20 years and 30 years of promises, right? Here in the city of Detroit, you promised the moon and the sun and everything else in it. Okay. Right. So after a while, generation after generation after generation after generation, here's the same topic, same hot button topic. After a while, when you don't see it, you just lose interest in it, right? Or you lose faith in it, right? So somebody like me come knocking on the door and says, I can change this, I can do that, I can do this. They're going to be hesitant to give you that approval to do what you say you're going to do. There's going to be like proof in the pudding. Show me that you really can do this, right? And then once you show a small, I was telling Summer that before, a small win is like a large win in Detroit, right? So say you pinpoint a targeted area that you're going to clean up a park and you're going to put a new park there. The people in the surrounding area is they're going to be skeptical that you over there trying to do that. And you may even live in the same neighborhood, right? And they may see you in their community block club associations meetings. And they give you that sign, they give you that roll of eyes, and they be like, I don't believe anything you saying, right? Or I'm going to just listen to you. But then when you go out and do it, now people will be like, oh, okay, that person is serious, right? So then they won't allow you to jump, right? So now you're getting them to participate. So now they're becoming investors, as I said earlier. So now they won't let you dump, right? They won't let you come from one side of the town to my area and just dump, right? Because now they're more involved, right? Because now you're not getting rid of all of that promise making. You're just kind of working it and trying to show that it can work, right? So now they won't allow it. But if you don't have those kind of people or those personalities in that area, in those tri-state areas, man, you're spinning your wheels. And people are going to be like, well, I'm just coming home to work. I'm getting out of my house. I'm going to work. And when I come back, I'm coming in my house to play with my computer. If I can afford internet, I got a TV and I can watch my games, right? Or I'm playing my video games, right? Or I'm with my family. And I don't want to know what's going on the outside because it's not affecting me on the inside. And the problem is, until you fix the internal problem, you can't bring external factors in. Right. They can't fix the problem.
I agree with that. So let me throw this question out there, y'all. So we know change takes time. Are there any programs that have been implemented in the past that are starting to take shape and help the housing situation especially from the last time that we talked or even before that?
All right, T, you there? Oh, she said.
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and answer that question.
Repeat a little bit more.
So we all know that change takes time. Are there any programs that have been implemented in the past, like even from the last time we talked, but let's say the past 10, 15 years that are taking shape and helping the housing situation now?
We got a lot of, people that's trying to help or doing the process of helping. But to me, I haven't seen anything correct. Like I said, again, I have videos and everything where I was telling people when rent was $425 in 2016 that it was going to go up astronomical. So no programs have reached out to put any kind of rent cap or any kind of income-based things. It's just certain programs that have it. There's a Southwest Solution that does housing things, but I am living in a Southwest Solution apartment, and I'm gonna say it was a blessing because I didn't have nowhere to go at the time, and I needed my own place, my own space. But at the end of the day, I'm in an area where the air quality is not good, and I'm asthmatic. I am asthmatic, and then I'm in an area where the water is not good, so I have to buy tons and tons of water, and I have a problem with the environment because my water coming from plastic. You know what I'm saying? It was a help, but also a hinder too, because at the end of the day, right now I finally got a full-time position somewhere, and I'm pretty much financially out the program. So come July, the end of July, I have to find housing for myself. So no, there's no organizations out here that's grabbing people or citizens that's helping them or even helping the housing situation. But there are several organizations that's putting their input. That's all I'm gonna say. That's what I feel. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the islands on me dealing with other organizations.
And
I feel those same sentiments.
And I was going to speak on that too. And I'm glad that T brought that up, because not only it's like everything is at a standstill. There's a lot of passing the buck, and people need resources. I've been getting a few emails and texts or calls to say, hey, I really need to move or have a slumlord situation, but there's not another house that I can move to. We have houses here, but they're either slumlord situation, they can't move to, the rent is too high in certain areas or is inhabitable, it's safety concerns, but there is not programs to really support movement with housing and housing, the stability of housing, or helping to find housing placement, proper placement. Even with transitional housing, it's a problem. Like some people may say, I need just a temporary place to move my family to until my home is available. No. We have, because the CDC moratorium is still in play until June, or still in place until June 30th of 2021, many people they need places to go, because if they have not paid their landlord, the landlord is starting to take measures into their own hands, and they're starting to evict people. Like here in Michigan, one would say you have housing, but if you go to like the state of Alaska, they need housing. They don't have any. It's just like tent city. And so are there programs available outside the city trade? It's like people, the organizations that have been designed, whether it's from the U.S. Department of Treasury or state or government officials, when it comes to dollars, I think T would say it best, especially with the CARES Act. It's money at the top and it trickles down little by little. And if nobody tracks it, it disappears. We speak about dollars when it comes to housing. it's like the same thing. The program, you don't know where to go. It's a lot of up and down, a lot of transitions, and a lack of support, as one would say.
I think Sun Soul Lex had a couple of questions to what you were just speaking.
Let me see. As far as the homelessness, that's something we hadn't talked about last time. That's just a part of it. But the people who are actually being, I guess you can say, forced out with these landlords, like how, I guess the question I'm asking here is there any system in place to report these people? And if they are reported, what's being done about them, basically illegally kicking these people out of their homes?
Being illegally kicked out of their homes.
Yeah.
There's not enough checks and balances on that. There's not enough, and that's what we're talking about and discussing. Because when a person sees that they're about to get evicted, they don't go to court, or they hurry up and run and disappear. They just leave. They just abandon the house, and before it even goes through the court process, or you go knock on the door, the landlord has already moved somebody else into the place.
Wow.
And the cycle starts all over again. Go ahead, T. You want to speak on that?
Lord Jesus, oh my God. So we have been trying to get committees together to see if this CARES Act money, the CERA in Michigan, can also help landlords and tenants, because a lot of these landlords bought the homes, and the homes was already like in deplorable situations, and they felt like they was gonna take the rent and fix it up. But because COVID happened and things happened, it didn't work out that way. But we got a lot of people that's been a slumlord for years and years and years. It's like habitual slumlords here too also. And it's like, what kind of pipeline program can we have? Because they do help homeowners. They do sometimes bail out something on the renters, because it's never where someone is getting adequate services total, where is zero balance or zero, they still got to scramble around to find the offset money. And it's just not a lot out here. And we got to just put things together that programs will aid it. And it can happen because the money is here, because they deny all these people because of whatever reasons. And then the officials get to move this money around, or we lose this money in the program. So it's like, we got to figure something out, and we got to figure out something really, really soon, because we don't know how long COVID going to be around. But at the end of the day, it has made more issues with tenant renters and tenant issues, also land contract issues, and also homeowners. There's people out here about to lose their homes because they don't have the money to pay their mortgages. So the federal push is cancel rent, cancel mortgage, Medicare for all, and more during this COVID season.
So I think we got Trishan online. Trishan, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good. Sorry it took me so long to connect. I apologize.
Not a problem.
So, all right, Trishan, tell us a little bit. And Ishmael, we got Ishmael Terry on the line too, Trishan. We're gonna transition a little bit, because for the sake of time and everything. Trishan, sure. I need you to bring that heat and fire. Tell us about Detroit Will Breathe, and then we're gonna talk about police being involved in illegal evictions.
Sure. Well, and I could wrap it together as best as I can in a short tidbit. But Detroit Will Breathe is an organization that was formed in the midst of the uprising last summer around George Floyd, and it was a way to capture and concentrate and develop all of the energy that was expressed in the fight against police brutality and for justice for George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and to make sure that energy and focus was also tackling all of the different ways in which racism manifests itself. Because police brutality is just one extreme version of the inequality and exploitation that Black and brown people have to go through. And so early on, we made the connection with the fight for housing as a human right, and how that is an issue that disproportionately affects Black and brown people, in particular in the city of Detroit, which before COVID had one of the highest rates of evictions in the country. 1 in 5 renters face eviction every year. And we knew that part of that eviction process, unfortunately, included illegal evictions that not only took place on the auspices of slumlords, lying to their tenants, but slumlords even being able to Detroit Police Department help enforce these illegal evictions.
So when you're speaking about police involvement, because I know in many states, and specifically in Maryland, when it's time for an eviction, the sheriffs come in. They first, you get your notice on your door, and you go to court, whatever the case may be, and then they come and put you out. So in your area, can you all briefly give us an understanding of what exactly the police involvement looks like? Is it the city police? Is it the county police? Is it the sheriffs? Like, what law enforcement agency is or agencies are actually aiding and abetting this practice?
Well, so here's the thing, and I think this is generally the true across the country. Sheriff departments are deputized to deal with evictions that courts deem legal, right?
Right.
So for local police officers, they're not supposed to be involved in the eviction. Only the sheriff and bailiffs deputized by the courts in Michigan are allowed to carry out evictions, and the police are involved only when the bailiffs deem it necessary. But again, that's when legal evictions take place, where the courts, have put in, because in Detroit, not only do you have to get a judgment, right, but you also have to put in a separate order for the eviction, because there are certain stipulations that have to be met, like in Detroit, as part of the city ordinance. And so what we have is DPD, which again is not supposed to interact or enforce evictions. That's even on their books, like it's their own policy. Nonetheless, officers break that policy and assist in evicting tenants from their housing without having, the proper training or wherewithal to know whether or not it's a legal eviction or not.
Wow. Can any of you, any one of you others, put any input on that?
Basically, working with Tristan and other groups like Detroit Eviction Defense, it was so imperative recently. Usually when we're in different groups, so it's housing and then it's police and justice and several different areas. With housing, it's amazing how all of the groups are coming together. And they're like, we are not standing for this any longer. It's like every sector is being involved. If it's women's rights, or if it's disability rights, police being involved, just improper evictions and slumlords. All of the different groups are coming together. And I know this Saturday, and Trishan, if you want to talk about a little bit about the march that Detroit Will Breathe will be helping to organize and lead with Detroit Eviction Defense and many other organizations?
Sure. I mean, I could, say there have been two particular incidents of Black women who were illegally evicted with the assistance of DPD officers. In the most recent case that involves a young lady that goes by Miss Bernie, the city itself acknowledged that they weren't supposed to aid in her eviction. Unfortunately, the city has refused to release the names of the police officers involved in the incident. They refused to release the results of their internal investigation that they said that they were doing. And they have failed to help make Miss Bernie whole, who was kicked out 7 days before Christmas with her 4 kids with nowhere to go.
Wow.
And so we are doing a march and a rally this Saturday with as many groups as we can to get justice for Miss Bernie and Miss White, who was illegally evicted a couple of years ago, and to say to the city that they need to not only make these 2 Black women whole, we want the officers fired who were engaged in this clear break of department policy, and we want a zero tolerance policy on any officers who partake in illegal evictions, because it's too common. We heard stories in the beginning of the pandemic of police officers helping evict people during a moratorium on evictions in Detroit. So this isn't just 1 or 2 or 3 officers. This is a problem with the department and it having no consequences for when people break protocol. And so that's what this mobilization Saturday is about.
Okay. So, Son Solex, I had, if Ishmael's still on, I got a question for him. But Son Solex, do you have a question you want to throw in there first?
Yeah. My thing is this, right? We see how there's a mass exodus with California and New York and a few other places around the country. It seems to me here that the bigger picture is there's an agenda here. And they are pushing this agenda to get people out of their homes and off of their property. Would any one of you like to speak to what are your thoughts on that? Like, what is it that they're truly trying to do there?
I think Ishmael and Tristan should answer that question. You there, Ishmael? I know he's still there. Okay, Tristan, did you hear the question?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I can address it.
Okay.
I think there are things that twofold that are taking place. Yes, there's gentrification and displacement that's happening in the city of Detroit. The city of Detroit, by the way, has a strategic policy of investment in specific neighborhoods, and they don't have a plan for others. So the way that I've characterized the plan for Detroit is to think about South Africa apartheid. You know how the center city is where the white people lived and the Black people lived in shanty towns that surround it. That's what they're trying to duplicate and build in the city of Detroit. And why housing is so precarious in the city is because that benefits their speculative developments. Because the truth is, like New York or Chicago or Oakland, many of these developments that are taking place are so unaffordable, right? That there's actually no market for them. And the way that these developers make money is off of the speculation that these developments that they build and then sell as soon as they're done with it, because they don't want to be caught holding the hot potato. Like the 2008 housing crisis is duplicating itself with the speculative nature of investment and development that's taking place in Detroit and Chicago and other places where they know. I think in New York, 1 in 4 condos sit empty. so this is all about, you know, playing, um you know, what's the word? Not monopoly, but kind of like it. But the tools that and the pieces that they're using for this game uh, is the everyday Detroiter who has to suffer, you know, for like, you know, like their like money making schemes.
Wow. Ishmael, you still on the line?
I don't know. I just sent him a message. He didn't respond yet, so hopefully he didn't drop off.
Well, the question that I wanted to throw out there, the last time we talked, we were talking about who to contact when facing these illegal practices. Has there been an uptick in reporting of these practices? And if so, like who can they like comfortably report this to and really get some sort of answer that's like that helps you sleep at night, for lack of a better phrase?
Unfortunately, no one, to be frank. And what Detroit will breathe, along with Detroit eviction defense. One of the things that we're trying to achieve in this campaign is to encourage people who have had similar incidents to contact us. That's how Ms. White got in contact with us, because she saw Ms. Bernie's situation on the media, on the news, and she contacted us because what we've seen is, you know, there are different organizations and agencies like United Community Housing Coalition, which is like the largest like housing advocacy group in the city, and does a lot of like work with helping people stay in their homes and get placed. But we're seeing that this issue gets brought to the city's attention time and time again, and they come up with the same response, which is, you know, because we met last summer with the city of Detroit. I personally met with Duggan, who's the mayor, and Chief Craig, and raised this very issue. And you know what they said to me? Oh, we don't do evictions.
Wow. Wow.
I'm like, oh, really? Because the person who called city council during a session saying that they were illegally evicted certainly, you know, have, you know, another story, like another version of that. But yeah, that's our problem. The problem is when you say it to them, they're like, oh, we don't do it.
Oh, wow.
That's not our
crazy
policy.
And he's right about that, because being with Detroit eviction defense, it's like it's like, who do you go to? And if you had a puzzle piece, it's arrows just going around, because you can make a phone call and it's like, oh, we're not working in the office, we're working from home. It's so bad that we have a department called the Register of Deeds. It's closed.
Wow.
So you know, how do people register homes or track and find out about who owns a home? And slumlords, when you have a critical department closed still from the pandemic, where some are working remote, some are in office and just saying, hey, make an appointment. You don't even get that.
Wow.
So I'm like Tristan, nowhere.
Yeah, I wish Ishmael could I don't know what happened with Ishmael's connection, but I wanted him to weigh in on some of those questions. So Lex, you got another question for him?
Just this, Tristan. I know that you're talking to us via your phone, but I wanted to know how large is your group, and how can people actually contact your organization? And if you want to give them your direct contact number or an email, something where people can get in contact with you guys, and the more people chime in, the more we can bring more light to this situation. But I'm going to ask you that question again when we're done. But one is, how large is your group? And two, how can the people contact you?
Well, on the first one, I'd say that right now we probably have a core group of like organizers that range around 50, and that we're able to, on any given day, when we do events, we have about like 100, 150 people who consistently come out.
Wow.
So, decent size, but not whatever. We're definitely looking to, not only get bigger, but also to get like within like Detroit itself, because we have a lot of young activists who are new to politics, which is great. But that's why we like look to partner with different groups like Detroit Eviction Defense, the Charlotte Village Association, which is a neighborhood association on the east side fighting against gentrification that I've been part of, so that we could like build those connections with groups and issues that people have been fighting around for a long time. And we're on all social media platforms, so like TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So people can get in contact with us that way. Detroit Will Breathe.
Okay.
And we have a whole, thankfully, social media team that's pretty good at like getting responses, and they check the social media diligently. So if people reach out to us, we'll definitely get it.
Okay. So, Ishmael, are you back on the line?
Yeah, the line dropped. My apologies.
Okay.
I'm back.
Before I get your input, we have a question for the ladies. Well, I guess any of you can answer this question. But the question is: have the two women sued the city and the department for the illegal evictions? If you want answer and name, and they will have to tell you who they are, legal aid or lawyers taking cases pro bono.
Have they sued? Oh, you're saying have the two women sued the city of Detroit?
Have y'all sued? Well, anybody out there sued the city of Detroit for these practices?
Well, there are a couple of attorneys that are looking into it, but again, like Trishan said, the information that is needed is being withheld. So, and there are a few attorneys that would like to do it, pro bono. However, it's a lack of what does it say? Like statute limitations. You need information to move the case forward.
Mm.
And even though we may go ahead, Trisha.
No. I was just gonna mention that Miss White actually did file suit against the city a couple of years ago.
She did,
and actually won her case. But she filed it, and so like it's a question of like following up. I don't think any like resolution came out of that legal action that she took though. But we're trying to follow up with that as well.
So Ishmael, what about from your vantage point, as far as suing the city, attorneys working pro bono? Do you have any any touch in that, or any knowledge of that, or in how that process is working, or how it's going?
Well, the difficult road is when I worked in the city before. So the difficult road is suing the city, the municipality as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
There's a process, right? So that young lady may have won the beginning, but the middle to the end of the road, the city is always going to come out on top, right?
Wow.
The factors may seem dim after a while, but there's always consideration of buyout. There's always considerations of adjusting property taxes if they've been, if the judge or the magistrate felt that it was overly taxed and they won. There's also a way of paying a payout where they do a need assessment on the property again, because after every 10 years, the city is supposed to do an assessment on the property. And so after they do that retrack, after the chief assessor officer comes in and do that retrack on that property, then they'll say, okay, well, we owe you X amount of dollars. And so we'll pay you back that money, right? But that's rare, and that's far. So you don't really get a lot of men and women. And then the reason why you don't have a lot of attorneys who chime in and wants to do that work is because they got to eventually work with the city, right?
Yeah.
Or they got to work in the courtroom at Wayne County. So they don't want to get ostracized and get cases because judges or magistrates, when you are an attorney, you got to get fed. So when you then go into the county, or you go in a public defender or any attorney structure or lawyer structure inside of the county or the city, you're picking your battles, right? So that could be a back. You don't want it to be kind of like a whistleblower where they can't really, they can't turn on you basically, but it still happens, right? So that's why you get a lot of attorneys be like, "Oh, I can't handle that case."
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So we got a few
So,
more questions to get through. Son Solex, you got one?
This question is for Tristan. Can you tell us about what's the next steps for your program, the Breed program? What's the forecast that you possibly see come down the pipeline around the housing and their involvement?
Sure. Well, I think that we definitely want to continue to make our campaign around justice for Miss Bernie and Miss White a focal point of our activity for this year. And again, with the hope of being able to find people with similar stories and make sure that they get justice too. We want an actual resolution to this crisis. And we think that, it's going to take, a real big effort to get that. And as far as, our other goals for the year, we've had some legal actions against the city around the ways that they dealt with protesters during last year. And we're looking to bring more accountability and transparency to the police department and the issues of police brutality that occur. And we want to make sure that there's transparency in terms of people being able to see what police officers' records are, what the results of investigations are, and making sure that instead of things being brushed to the side, like they have been typically, that we get thorough investigations on each incident that occurs. So, yeah.
Okay, so I got one question. I have one more question that I want all y'all to give a as brief as a response to. Have people been exercising their rights, and have they been becoming more aware of their rights when it comes to this housing situation?
I'll go. So exercising their rights, it's almost like I have a young lady right now, and I am. She asked me about. She has a slumlord. Unfortunately, she just told me probably about 2 hours ago. She went out of town this weekend, and before she left, she let some city leaders know that she has a slumlord, and it's so bad that it was raining in her home. She has mold in her home. Her lungs are being affected by it. The slumlord has been on the news, and she owns 5 other properties that are in horrible shape. The slumlord even stole the gas meter, and so while this tenant was out of town, and they just had a court date about probably 3 weeks ago. While the tenant was out of town, the landlord came to the home, tried to break into the home, but was met by the tenant's cousin, and unfortunately, a altercation broke out. And so, when you say the rights, the tenant used all of her rights, and she she reached out. She was one who reached out for resources to say, how can I prevent this and understanding my rights? What do I need to do? That's one situation. Another situation is if a tenant, understanding their rights and resources, some are just afraid Like they want you to lead them to the water, feed them the water, or make them drink it and carry them across. Some fear retaliation, and they don't want to even deal with the rights.
Okay.
And so that's what I have to say to that. I know Tristan can probably follow up, and Ishmael too.
Ishmael can go. Other people can go. And I can go.
Yeah, I mean, landlord tenant law, is very tricky for most people. It's more of a hearsay conversation than it is actually knowing the law, right? Someone is going through some problematic issue with the landlord, and someone tells them, well, they have 30 days to have you evicted and things of that nature. So they get snippets of landlord tenant laws. I always tell people, utilize the 36th district court for your access to information, right? They have information that tell you what the tenant landlord laws are about in the city of Detroit, right? You can then utilize the ordinance to be able to gain access to the chief assessors and make it where it'll basically stonewall the landlord from raising your rent or changing your locks on your doors, right? Because you now know the full law of landlord tenant, right? You know that there are inspectors that you can actually contact to have come to the home of the tenant and say, these are the things that the landlord is doing. And the landlord can actually be fined.
Wow. Okay.
For that, right? But because those things, those tidbits or those nuggets are not discussed at the table, tenants are just going off of the vanilla or the general information that you and I always talk to, either at the barbershop, beauty salon, or at the table, at our own table.
Okay.
I always tell people that.
Christian, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I think one of the things that, first off, I'm a person who has experienced a couple of illegal evictions myself in life. And it isn't clear, and there's not enough effort put into making sure that tenants know what their rights are. I know one of the things that several housing justice organizations have been fighting for is a right to counsel for tenants. So when they go to court, that they have legal assistance that can help them walk through the process. Landlords typically do evictions illegally because it costs money to do it properly, but they rely on people not knowing. For example, a 7-day notice is not a notice to evict is not an eviction notice.
Right.
And like Ishmael was saying, like not only can your landlord not change the locks on you, they can't even remove property where they're suspect. A year ago, one of the things that we were doing last year when we were marching through the streets and through the neighborhoods around police brutality was also spreading literature so that residents knew like what their rights as renters were. And we worked with an organization that I helped co-found called Detroit Renter City, whose mission was to make sure that people like knew like what their legal rights were so that they can have some basis for defense. And I got inspired doing that because of a fight that I had to wage with my grandmother to make sure that she was properly treated in her rental unit.
Okay. Sounds so, Lex?
Well, That's pretty much all the questions I have. But the thing that I really wanted to hit on before we let you all go is we know that the fight isn't easy. We know that there are all kinds of damn barricades that these people are throwing up and roadblocks. But I just want to say for King and I, we definitely commend you guys. Please, if there's anything we can do as far as like bring you guys back on or helping spread your message or whatever it is we can do from our vantage point, please let us know. I think it's so important that these programs and this information is being shared because only by sharing the information can we actually get something done. But that's all I have to say. Again, I take my hat off to each and every one of you. Thank you guys for coming on.
And yeah, and I just want to say, before y'all get up out of here, let us know, let everybody know what positive things that y'all have going on and presenting and coming up that will motivate the people and just put energy behind this whole movement.
So, one of the things that I'll be working on, and I love the housing and justice piece. However, I was working in a concentrated area, and I'm starting to expand beyond the city of Detroit and to find out a little bit more about housing and justice. But I'm excited to partner with groups about redevelopment in certain areas. We have a lot of areas that the city, like the downtown Detroit, is flourishing. And while we have other areas, and I know Trisha say big time about capitalism, it's like the rent is almost $1,500. And so one of the things I want to fight for is like our senior citizens, about affordable housing. That is something that I'm going to jump in the ring and a little bit more and hold people accountable to say what they mean and mean what they say, and to investigate this thing called the statute of frauds a little bit more.
Okay. Tristan or Ismail?
Well, I can go. I mean, I'll just say briefly. First off, thank you for the opportunity for letting me speak. And it's always a joy and a pleasure to have Summer as my partner in crime with anything that happens. But people can check out Detroit Will Breathe on all social media platforms: TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and find and keep up to date there with different campaigns that we are involved in. Like I said, definitely going to be making the issue around illegal evictions a big part of like the organizing that we do this year, and continuing to push for like accountability and transparency with the police department, and just in general making a fight for community to have more of a say, a direct say in like what goes on in his own community, including how monies are spent and resources used. That's definitely a big issue that we want to also push this year.
All right, Ishmael.
Yeah, we got a lot of things going on, my friend. So our agency, is, like I said again, we've been doing this for 25 years, and so we're now teamed up with Myers, Flagstar, Comerica Bank, Dreamlight Designs, and others to work with homeless people, and as well as we're working with people who are in their homes. We're working with people to provide them the essentials that they need to survive out in this cruel world. I know we're doing a project with Flagstar to teach people about financial literacy. And as we're doing that, we're giving PPEs and ponchos that were donated by Myers and all. And so we're doing that April 24th.
Okay.
And then we have another event, a video conference, where we're going to have University of Michigan Medical School and University of Michigan public policy, as well as DMC, joining us to talk about COVID-19 and the vaccination, to spread out a little bit more message about it. So we have a plethora of different things going on in the community as a whole. I want to say, one, I'm proud of Tristan. I know Tristan for a long time. And I'm glad to see the young guy moving mountains, as well as Summer and Sanders. I want to leave y'all with this message.
All right.
The message is, it's not what you've done, it's about what you're going to do next. Because we're all having a great conversation right now, but at the end of the day, can you walk out those doors and say you affected 25 people? And that's the lifestyle you should have. If you can impact 25 people, that 25 turns to another 25, will turn to 50, and so forth. Right?
That's true.
So that is how the message that Tristan and Summer and Tanae and myself will continue to make these broader strides throughout this city become more impactful. And so I just say that to say, it doesn't matter if it's in Detroit or, like you say, you're in Baltimore or anywhere. The commitment is not about a conversation. It's now, you can't be afraid anymore. Many people died for you to do just that, not to be afraid.
I'll say
And
this
then just
too.
go and take a leap.
Sorry, Ishmael. I was going to say too, I'm looking at the time. It's been a pleasure to work with Ishmael, my brother Tristan, on Fire Tanisha. It's awesome when we all can come together, different causes, can lean on one another. Thank you, Sun Soul X and King, So Touch the Poet, for allowing us to come on to share our story, and Ishmael really hit the ball out of the park. And don't let Tristan fool you, because Little Bird, you told me that they can get up to like 50,000 on their following.
Hey, that's what we try to get.
So yeah, don't let Tristan fool you. And Tristan, have Detroit Will Breathe, have they decided, or are they expanding in other states?
Well, I mean, actually, we're in touch with people in different cities. Recently, got in contact with some folks who are on the ground in Minneapolis, and we're looking to do sometime soon a national event to talk about people who are still facing charges who were part of the protest from last summer. So,
yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for joining us. Before we do our exit housekeeping, y'all are always welcome back. Please come back and follow up. Ishmael, I heard you mention financial literacy. That is actually one of the topics that we plan on tackling. So I'm asking you personally, can you please come back and join us on that conversation? Because I think that is a very, 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 very important conversation for us to have in our community. So the invitation is out there.
As long as you bring in Summer back, my little sis, and Tristan and all of us back every once in a while to talk, I'm yours at your disposal to talk to you about finance.
Hey man, you just put yourself on point now. You just put yourself on point. That came out of your mouth. Now we're gonna hold you to that. Please believe
yes,
it.
We are. Yes, we are.
I'll do it on the phone, bro. I'm not gonna do it on the computer.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool because
we'll take it any way we can get it.
And Tristan, if you don't know, you heard Son is from Tallahassee, Florida. He kind of said that before you got on. So it's awesome when we expand.
Yeah, my wife does too, but I'm an Alabama fan. It's all good, though. It's all good.
You just won the national champion.
Yeah, when they play, I'll be quiet. I let her watch. But when she gone, I'll be talking Alabama again.
Oh man, but thank y'all.
Y'all just put a smile on my day. I just lost my father today, so y'all made a smile go on this old man's face.
Glad we could bring that to you, brother.
Yes, sir.
And condolences again to you, Ishmael. Thank you for coming on. And yeah, I know you. I heard you lost your father. I was like, oh, yeah. So.
Yeah.
But hey, as we say, thank y'all for joining us. Thank y'all for sticking in. We thank the guests for joining us. The King in Our Life podcast, hosted by myself, Soul Toucher the Poet, and my brother,
Son Soul X.
And let me say it again. I got three books out there on Amazon. Taste My Poetry, Taste My Soul, Ballads of a Poeteer, and the Book of King, Quotes, Thoughts, and Invocations. Go ahead and pick those up. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Patreon is coming. Son Soul X wants you to hit us up where?
KINGANDEYE369 Again, that's KingandI369 And before we exit, please, if you all don't mind, please let the people know where they can contact you guys to receive further information. Again, the more we share, the more we learn.
I'm real easy. It's Summer Crawford. I prefer, it's easy to email me because I'm getting into a lot of things now and I can reach people back pretty fast and quick. But it's S as in Sam, N as in Nancy, R as in Robert, Crawford. That's CrawFord as in David @gmail.com. And so I'll have another phone number very soon, or that I can share publicly. But for right now, email is the best way. Or if you're on Facebook and you want to send me a Facebook message inbox, Summer Moore Crawford is pretty good, and I'll return and get back with you.
Excellent. Tristan?
I think Tristan jumped off. Ishmael, your contact information, brother?
Yeah, so you can reach me at allfor1detroit.org. That's our website. That's ALLFOUR, because people get confused and put the FOR. Mm-hmm. So it's number 4 spelled out, number 1 spelled out, Detroit.org. And you can go into our website and see all of the things that we do. And you can it gives you in details who our board of directors are and who our executive team is and things of that nature. So you can always go in there and learn to be a volunteer in some things that we're doing. We are heading to Chicago for our National Youth Leadership Regional Conference very soon, after the pandemic is calmed down. So people can contact our office too at 313-442-3604. And I do answer the phone call. Summer can tell you that. I do answer.
That's what's up.
Yeah, and Tristan, even though he's not on, you can also always reach out to Detroit Will Breathe website. And he definitely, him and his crew, they will definitely get in touch with anybody that reaches out to them.
All right, and there you have it. Thank y'all for joining us, and we are out of here.